All right, so cladograms and the history of life. So I already, a couple classes ago, drew this line, right? Remember when I drew a line and I put the history of life on it? And I'm just going to really, really quickly kind of remind you of what was on that line and what kind of time we're talking about here. So the first life began 3.5 billion years ago. BYA means billion years ago. And that life was prokaryotic, right? So the first life on Earth was the simplest life on Earth. And we're talking about the eubacteria and the archaebacteria, the two first kingdoms of life that existed on the planet. And we have fossil evidence of them. And we know that examples of them are also still with us. So we have those two kingdoms showed up first, and they were prokaryotic. Very simple, no nuclei, very small, not much more than a cell membrane and some DNA. And what we know about evolution is, according to lots of evidence, life starts simple, and then it becomes more and more and more complex as you go through time. So if you look at the sort of the markers that we have here, right? 3.5 billion years ago, way over here, the present day. And I'm not going to go into the era names here. I just want to kind of landmark for you where each of the kingdoms of life showed up on this timeline. So about roughly 2 billion years ago, is when prokaryotes evolved into the first eukaryotes. So the first eukaryotes, which means cells that had nuclei in them, nucleuses. First eukaryote, and we're talking about single-celled eukaryote, very simple things, right? So you had a nucleus and you had membrane-bound organelles, right? And you had mitochondria and membrane-bound organelles, and you had cells that were more complex, but they were still single-celled, right? Single-celled. Still pretty simple, still pretty small, but had more in them than a bacteria would have, right? So which kingdom was that going to be? What kingdom is the amoeba in? Somebody knows it. Somebody knows it. I know you do. You're just shy.
Anybody first?
Starts with a P.
Anybody?
I know you knew it. Protista kingdom, right? Okay. Things like amoebas and parameciums and algae. All the algae in that tank, those are all protists over there. So they're single-celled eukaryotes, things that have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, but are still just very simple, right? So, my goodness, I mean, a couple billion years went by and you didn't get anything more complicated than a nucleus, right? So it took a long time when you didn't have any sexual reproduction and you didn't have a whole lot of chromosomes there to work with, a whole lot of genes there to work with, for even the nucleus and mitochondria to evolve, right? Okay, so finally around here, which is 0.5 billion years ago, things started to get finally really interesting because you had the first multicellular eukaryotes, right? So multicellular eukaryotes emerged here. And that includes all the kingdoms that have the life in them that we're more familiar with, the fungi, the plants, and the animals. The first simple versions of these guys emerged here. And then, you know, all of these things, all of them, the protista, all the bacteria, all of that still exists. All these 6 kingdoms are still with us now in the present. Individuals of them may have gone extinct, but representatives of each are still here with us now, present day, right? Okay? So this timeline of life gives us kind of an idea of things going from when things first appeared and what they were like, and then how different characteristics came along, and you know what kinds of things lived when. It gives you an idea of that, and we base this on fossil record and we base it on the evidence that we have. So, but what this doesn't really tell us is what's the relationship? What exactly, which organisms are related to which, right? What emerged from what? It doesn't tell us the story of evolution. It just kind of gives us a markers for, you know, what lived when. But we don't know what the evolutionary relationships are. So that's what a cladogram tells you. So now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to talk about cladograms. So a cladogram is like a family tree of living things. Family tree of living things, kind of like that. It's a diagram. A diagram that shows how closely related different species are. And it's usually based, sometimes it's based on anatomical characteristics, body characteristics, on comparing anatomy, right? Anatomy features. Sometimes it's based, more recently, it's based on similarities in DNA or amino acids or protein comparisons. All right, so what do these things look like? Well, if I'm going to draw this one based on the history of life that I just showed you. Okay, I'm going to just use that information that I put into the timeline. I'm going to turn it into a cladogram. So a cladogram starts with a diagonal line, and this line represents the march of evolution, the march of change through time. And I'm going to turn the timeline on its side. So the timeline goes like this, where now this is the present day, and down here is 3.5 billion years ago. Right? Okay, and 3.5 billion years ago, the first feature, the first characteristic that developed was cells, right? You had the first cells. They were really simple, but cells were the first life that evolved, and the things that had those, the very first cells that evolved were the two bacteria kingdoms that are still with us today, right? The eubacteria and the archaebacteria, we think evolved pretty closely together, both of them. And we still have examples of both of these types of bacteria that are still with us, right? So first of all, you had cells, you had a cell membrane with some DNA in it, very simple, and you had these two creatures that evolved that are still with us today. It took a while, remember I said it took a while, not until about 2 billion years ago over here, for the first nucleus to evolve, right? For cells to have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles to become eukaryotic. And when that evolved, you had the first protistans, like the amoeba. And they are also, many of them are still with us today also. So the protista kingdom, the amoebas and the parameciums and those things, right? Single-celled eukaryotes, very simple, lived 2 billion years ago and are still with us today. All right, so then life kept on. Some of those protistans, some of those protistans developed into, oops, here we go. It took until like right about here, let's say, 0.5 billion years for some of them to branch off and become multicellular, right? First, multicelled eukaryotes, because protists were single-celled. One of them diverged and developed those last kingdoms. And there were 3 kingdoms there. So we've got some of those protists, the ones that had cell walls and were also sessile, meaning they didn't move, right? They were rooted. They became the fungi, which have cell walls and don't move, right? And the plants, which have cell walls and don't move. The plants had the added ability to be autotrophic. They could photosynthesize, right? And the fungi are heterotrophic. We know that. So that made them different from the plants. Right. And then this last kingdom over here had no cell walls, right? So definitely different from this branching over there. No cell walls. And the opposite of sessile is motile. They can move. So things that move and have no cell walls are animals. There we go. So now you've got, there was a student who asked a wonderful question in the last class. Why draw a cladogram? You have the timeline, right? The timeline, doesn't the timeline say all this? But what the timeline doesn't show, I can never find it. Where is it? There it is. Okay. What the timeline doesn't show are the divergences, the relatedness. Divergence means branching, changes that happened along the way. Relatedness means you can tell from this picture which things are closely related to each other and which things are not closely related to each other, right? So, and you can also see places along the way where there were common ancestors. All of the little red dots that I'm drawing, these are all common ancestors. This is a common ancestor that is a common ancestor for the protista and the fungi, the plants, and the animals. There was a common ancestor for those 4 kingdoms, and here it is, right there. But if I go further up in time and I go to 500 million years ago, this common ancestor here is the common ancestor for fungi, plants, and animals, but not for the protista, right? Because this divergence, this branching happened a lot more recently than the branching that led to protista. So this picture, this cladogram tells the story of evolution. The timeline really doesn't. The timeline can give you an idea of when things lived, but they can't tell you which things evolved from other things. This cladogram can give you a much better idea of that. So if I were going along here, this main line along the bottom, right? This line here, right? Along it went, and let's say that, oh, suddenly there was the first life. And some of that life were eubacterian and some of them were archaebacterian. They were all bacteria. And some of those bacteria went all the way and made it all the way to the present without changing very much. Nothing really forced that little group to evolve and this little group to evolve. So we still have these bacteria just the way they were 3.5 billion years ago. But another line from that ancestor, from that common ancestor, went this way instead and may have been subjected to different environmental selection pressures. Maybe something happened to these archaebacteria that caused them to gain a nucleus. That would have been something called endosymbiosis. Maybe some of them got large enough to engulf a mitochondria and suddenly became able to do aerobic respiration. That gave them a really big advantage over other archaebacterians that couldn't do that. So that those individuals gained a nucleus and then became the first protistans. And some of those are still with us today, just the way they were. But then another protistan, a cell with a nucleus, some of them became fungi-like or plant-like or animal-like and took different evolutionary pathways. So the cladogram tells the story of evolution. And that's why it's so more interesting, a little bit more interesting than just a simple timeline. Okay? So then if I were to ask you a question here, I'll ask you a simple question. Which is more closely related? Fungi and animals or fungi and plants? Fungi and plants. Yes, very good. Why? Why? Yes, Catherine, you are right. Yes. Why are the fungi more closely related to the plants than they are to the animals? Yes, because their common ancestor is more recent than the common ancestor that led to the animals. Right. Fungi and plants have diverged more recently than the animals did, than the fungi and the animals did. Yes. Okay. Excellent, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a Mr. Anderson video.